Talks on a hostage release and ceasefire deal in Gaza appear to be at an impasse. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is leaning towards expanded military operations, while Hamas is demanding that the humanitarian situation be addressed before it returns to talks. Netanyahu has said he'll convene his security cabinet this week to discuss how to proceed.
We must stand and fight together to achieve our war goals, all of them: defeating the enemy, the release of our hostages, and assuring that Gaza no longer poses a threat to Israel. Later this week, I will convene the cabinet to instruct the IDF on how to achieve these three goals, without exception.
Meanwhile, Palestinians in Gaza face a chaotic and deadly struggle to find food. Israel says it allowed over 1,000 trucks carrying aid into the territory over the last 7 days, but that is only a fraction of what the UN says is needed to feed Gazans.
Aid floats down from the sky over central Gaza. There's a crush as people rush to grab what they can. An eyewitness says a man was injured when a box of aid landed on his tent.
It is dangerous, full of death, and it's all humiliation. Just a third of people are able to get aid and the rest do not receive anything. What follows is infighting and stabbing. Thank them for bringing aid, but this aid is full of danger and death.
I demand that aid be delivered through the border crossings. Enough with sending it by air. We're waiting for the crossings to open. Israel is allowing more aid to be airdropped into Gaza. Planes from Germany, Canada, Jordan, and other countries took part. But each plane delivers less than a truck could. And aid agencies warn that Gazans are starving and the situation is dire.
It continues to deteriorate rapidly, and the starvation crisis is deepening every day. The malnutrition rates continue to go up, and more children and adults are reported dying from starvation. And this, of course, has to be addressed immediately, because if it isn't, even more damage will be done.
People collect aid from sites run by the controversial Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which are located near zones controlled by the Israeli military. The news agency Reuters says this video shows people gathering at a GHF aid site in central Gaza this weekend. They duck for cover as shots ring out. The UN estimates that over 1,000 people have been killed trying to get aid since the firm began operating in May.
More on this, I'm joined now by Professor Sultan Barakat from the Hamad bin Khalifa University in Qatar. He's also a senior associate fellow at the Royal United Services Institute. That's a defense and security think tank. Thanks for being with us. Prime Minister Netanyahu, he wants to meet with his security cabinet. He's reportedly pushing for the full conquest of the Gaza Strip. Why would he make such a move now?
Well, in terms of why would you do it, it's most likely just to try and deflect the international pressure that is now building up against Israel. He knows very well that there is no way to release the remaining hostages by force. He has already starved the population of Gaza. He has displaced all the population and now are concentrated in a very small zone, less than 20% of the land of the Gaza Strip. And he's obviously, as you know, has now caused the death and injury of almost 10% of the population. So there is not much more that he can do, or there's no more pressure he can put on the Palestinians themselves. But he can pressurize the pressure of the international community. And I think partly in reaction to the wave of recognition of the Palestinian state, starting with France and now the United Kingdom talking about it, and other European countries, Australia, Canada, he's trying maybe to bargain with them, say, look, you need to stop all of this in return for me changing my mind about total reoccupation of Gaza and control of the Gaza Strip. He knows very well that he is not going to release the prisoners, the hostages, and he's unlikely to have the capacity to manage and the territory. And most importantly,
let me ask you about
he does not have the support of the Israelis to have soldiers on the ground.
What would the complete occupation of Gaza actually look like?
Well, the most important aspect he has to have the will to have Israeli soldiers on the ground. And as you've seen, Israel has been very reluctant to bring in more within the inhabited areas of Gaza, partly because they become at a greater risk. Also, in the last couple of days, we've had that letter addressed to President Trump by 600 or more of senior Israeli security advisors and officials who have warned against any further incursions into Gaza. So without him having the will to lose more soldiers, it's very difficult, I think, for him to actually implement this.
Now, Netanyahu is facing mounting pressure, as you've mentioned, at home and abroad to end the war and bring the hostages home, allow more aid into Gaza. What would it mean for him politically if he were to attempt the full conquest instead?
Well, I don't think it will affect the ultimate result. It's very unlikely that he will ever be re-elected after this war, but it will buy him time. And he has survived the last 2 years based on postponing the inevitable of the fall of his extreme government. It is very, very fragile, and it can only survive by engaging Israel in a continuous war, as you've seen, and it's suspended all the democratic, if you like, rights of people to influence the decision, and he's narrowed it into his security cabinet. So by engaging in endless conflict, he is trying to postpone the inevitable fact of the fall of his government. Having said that, I think the most worrying aspect is whether he is doing this with the full support of the United States or not, because this announcement has come just at the back end of Witkoff's visit to Israel. And whether he has the approval or not, it is giving the impression that the United States is backing his decision.
Right. Professor, thank you very much for speaking with us. That was Professor Sultan Barakat.
Thank you.